Hello there, everybody. My name is Ken. I'm 9 years old and I'm going to show you my science video. That's not wasting any more time. Let's get to it. Let's explore science with me. Welcome, explorers. Today we're going to talk about one of my absolute favorite places to visit. Now I know I see that a lot, but truly the ocean is what I love. On our Earth, more than 74% of that means the majority of Earth is covered in this beautiful salty oceans, and I think we should explore those today. Let's get to it. What do you think when you think of the ocean? I'm out there. I know what is it. First thing I think of is that salty water. The salty water that fish can swim in, our turtles can get down there, and I think of the sand too, the ocean bottom. Take a look at here. I have brought some sand from the beach in Florida. That's the east coast of the United States. Very south is the peninsula. This sand is not smooth like other sands. It's almost rocky. Here is the sand in beach in Florida. And this sand makes up the beach and the ocean bottom. And here we have not sand. What is it? Salt. We're going to take this salt and we're going to add it to water, fresh water, and we're going to create the salt water. Now let's pour it in. Now you are an explorer. That means you have to observe. Now, nice and smooth. We're going to pour it in. I will use the chopstick to mix it. Nice and smooth. Oh yeah, that's mixing it. Whoa, that's awesome. Can you see it? I see some mixing happening. Oh, what happened to my salt? My sodium is dissolving. Now let's mixing. When I go into the beach, I do not take a glass of water and drink it because of the salt. But what I can do is I can take the cup of water and observe it. Do you think I can see the salt inside it? No, because it's dissolved. Now I finished mixing. And let's take a look at it. Do you see how much salt can you see here? Most of it has dissolved. As soon as air bubbles start to settle. And this salt water, we don't use salt water, but some sea animals use salt water to live. And my favorite part is what lives in the ocean? What lives in the sea? What do you think when you think of the ocean? Oh, sharks. Great white shark, but hammerhead shark are scary. But this is the nurse shark. It only eats crabs and other small animals. Here is that nurse shark. And what I also think of fish that have to survive in the ocean. And sharks are fish too. And what about the birds? They fly in the land and they get the fish what they eat in the ocean, in the sea. Boys and girls, something I want you to know. My favorite part is in the west coast of the United States. Is in the Pacific Ocean. There's sea lions that live there. Like other beach, there are gulls, like seagulls, and albatrosses too. But And my favorite part is the sea lions, but they have to deal with the salt water. And what is my favorite part? Turtles! Turtles are awesome. We have turtles that live in freshwater and in salt water too. Boys and girls, do you know what kinds of other kinds of the ocean? Well, it's like the ocean. Well, it's like seal or sea lions, whales, dolphins, crabs and shrimp, and lobster. Now we're going to talk about these animals. The animals, maybe they have to. Sometimes some animals, some must live in the ocean, some deal with the salt water, and some have to live near the ocean. Like birds has to get the fish, and they have to deal with the salt water. Boys and girls, like I said, don't drink salt water. But sometimes my mouth was hurting, then I had to go to the dentist. He said, take some salt water and push it around your mouth. That would help heal. And that means what? You're not drinking salt water, but we are using salt in the salt water. The ocean, those animals, phenomenal. Now I have the next part of the ocean we have to explore. In our oceans, there are different levels, different depths. 90% of our ocean will actually live in the zone called the sunlit zone. Of course, the sun can get through that water. Plants can go there. The animals can live there, and they have what they need to survive. So we have the sunlit zone. But there's a small zone underneath the sunlit zone. It's the twilight zone. Twilight, not many things live there because there's not as much sunlight. And then we have the deep darkness. The deep darkness is very dark. No sunlight there. So much salt and lots of pressure. And it's very cold too. That's a midnight zone. So let's review: sunlit, twilight, and midnight. The three nature zones of the ocean. And when you go even deeper, we can talk about the abyss and the trench. But today, we're just going to talk about the ocean. And let's talk about three parts of the ocean instead of five. We're not talking about abyssal zone or the abyss and the trench, the hadal zone. Now we're going to make the three zones of the ocean. Now I have these different flutes, colored flutes. Now I'm going to pour this flute into this plastic container, and it will pretend it's the midnight zone. Now I'm going to gently, and I mean gently. Let's gently, and I mean gently, pour it on top and pour it in. Whoa, that's awesome. Can you see it? This liquid is dark blue. One of my favorite color, and look, it's very thick too. And you see it? This is the bottom zone of the ocean. Now I'm going to add some green flute color to this next flute. Do you know what this is? That's right, our twilight zone. Now let's give it a little stir with a chopstick. Let's stir it and mixing it. And this will represent our twilight zone, the second zone from the top. Now I'm going to gently pour it in on top of our midnight. Whoa, that's awesome. This flute is green, but it's actually dark green or black green. Whoa, can you see it? We have our twilight zone. But where do our animals live? They live in the sunlit zone. Now I'm going to pour this liquid into on top of our twilight. I'm going to gently pour it in. Look at it. Whoa, can you see it? This sunlit is so cool. Now I have finished pouring this liquid on top of our twilight, but there's some bubbles on top of this container. But that's because the fluid we are using is an oil base, and oil floats on top of water. Wow, so interesting. Liquid floats on liquid. Now this is the sunlit zone, twilight zone, and the dark blue is the midnight zone. Because these different liquid has different fluid means different chemicals, so they're separated into two zones: sunlit and midnight and twilight. Let's review what they learned. Our ocean has salty water that makes up our ocean. In our ocean, there are different animals: seal, sea lions, and other fish, and some mollusks. Our ocean has different layers, different zones. The deep midnight layer. Not many fish or animals live there. There is one cool fish live in the midnight zone. That's called the anglerfish that lights up, because he actually has a part of his body that actually lights up nature. And the anglerfish, he lives in the midnight zone and even in the abyss. The abyssal zone too. And then we have the twilight zone. Not as much sunlight, but there are some animals live in the twilight too. Shark can swim, or some sperm whale will dive at this depth. The twilight. But where do our animals live? They live in the sunlit zone, where the sun can get through that water. Boys and girls, it's always a beautiful journey. And goodbye. See you again. In the next time, I will teach you about the abyssal zone, or the abyss, and the trenches, or the hadal zone. And I haven't told you, beaches and ocean rocks.